wolf pack would sit me down, bring me back from the edge of the cliff, and explain to me why we're doing this. And they're absolutely right. The testimony today made me want to cry. I mean, why are we worried about the danger of the people speaking their mind? The real danger is what Bill Moyers said 10 years ago now, that we've become an oligarchy. And we didn't even know it happened. We never voted for that amendment. It just happened. They did it. They took our democracy away. I don't know any bigger danger than that.
That anyone who thinks that big money does not have a corrosive and threatening effect on our government is either not paying attention or is willfully ignorant. The other part of this, Madam Chair, is I agree there are some real legal conversations that need to happen about the scope of an Article 5 convention. I firmly believe that it can be limited. In full disclosure, this was one of the first pieces of legislation I had drafted when I was elected in 2012, and I was convinced at that time not to introduce it because it would cause certain interest groups to abandon me as a first-year legislator. And one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't have the courage then to push forward in 2012.
I have a 700-page book that I ordered this last year that is sitting in my office about runaway conventions, which I have precisely so that I can rebut the need to do these Article 5s and why it's a bad idea. An Article 5 convention just scares the hell out of me. It really does. The status quo scares me more. My devotion to policy, my devotion to having been the state election director, my devotion to making sure we get things right is based on my appreciation of the fact that we live in a society where we're not only permitted, but to some degree we should all be encouraged to challenge our government. We should be encouraged to stand up and say we disagree. And we should never be fearful of doing that.
Republican states have to stand up to the federal government from time to time. And we haven't done that for over 200 years, and it's time for us to do it. And let us have those debates here in New Mexico, because we do a good job in New Mexico. We fight all the time here, but then we hug and we kiss and we make up and we move on. So thank you. I appreciate you bringing this. I'm going to vote for all these Article 5s. I told myself I was going to do that from the beginning. And I wish those groups that would profess to stand up for democracy would help us out. Thank you.
And to prevent this power that we have as a legislature to ensure that our federal government works for the people, works for the states. And so what they do is they claim this runaway convention is going to happen. But there's one minor detail that everyone overlooks, and that's the fact that 38 states will have to ratify anything that comes out of that convention. And anybody that knows anything about the states is it's pretty disorganized when it comes to communication between, because we are all independent sovereign powers. Our legislatures meet at different times. Texas meets once every 2 years. We meet every year, but only every other year can we discuss every issue. Currently, I was just looking on my smartphone, 32 of the legislatures are controlled 100% Republican, and then the rest Democrat. And I know this is a nonpartisan issue, but there's a lot of concern with things, and I think sometimes that's why certain groups stand up against it, is because they're already assuming outcomes.
I mean, it's what are we doing? We have to have this discussion, and that was kind of my impetus for introducing it 3 years ago. And again, thank you for continuing the movement, because I think this is most important for us to have.
If we wait around for the Congress that's elected under this system to change the system in which they were elected, I think our wait is going to be extremely lengthy. That leaves us one option. This is the only way we're going to get money out of politics, an Article 5 convention.
You know, I do share many of the concerns that were raised by some opposed to this, but at the same time, I also think that the situation has gotten so bad, and there's really nothing on the horizon that would indicate that we're going to have any kind of proposal put forth by this Congress.
So, you know, this is a way for the people to express their frustrations and their concern by coming and pushing something like this, and I can't give enough kudos to all of the young people who have gotten involved in this issue, who care and are looking at our future. And so I have certainly listened to them, and again, based on the 10-year provision, I'm going to support this with the hope that if within the next 10 years we start to get close to the number of states, Congress will engage.
And I believe this petition is at 5 states. If we were to pass it, we'd become the 6th. They still need to get to 34. But it takes 38 states to ratify a constitutional amendment. In this last election, 30 states voted for Trump and 20 states voted for Clinton, and it takes 38 states to amend our Constitution.
And with that, Mr. President, I move that Senate Joint Resolution 12 as amended do now pass.
By a vote of 27 in the affirmative, 14 in the negative, Senate Joint Resolution 12 as amended has passed the Senate.